Hello, bonjour. Oh, don't know why. I didn't bring my mustache. Devastated. I wanted to bring my mustache and see if I could get through a whole episode with it on.
So just to add clarity to Lauren's mustache, she last night. So in unlocking, we were, as you can tell, we are recording this back-to-back episodes. But in unlocking, we were tasked to do some strips of paper, 7 strips of paper. And the whole thing about the blocks, if you've listened to the last episode, we were talking about our blocks, and we had to write all of these headers on work, family, friends, that kind of thing. So we're all doing that as then Lauren lifts her head and she's done the most incredible, if anybody remembers Inspector Gadget. I would say it's Inspector Gadget. She had the most amazing moustache on that she'd drawn, cut out, and had attached to her face with blue tack. And it did manage to stay on. And in fact, it was hilarious because she was breathing and it was moving with her. We all just kept... But what was hilarious was at one point a screen went off and I was literally waiting for her to come back on with the eyebrows as well. Most disappointed when I just got attached. But yeah, so yeah, why did you not bring it? I mean, yeah, Loz.
It's on the side as well. I brought it into the kitchen so that I remember it. I wanted to wear it for a special podcast. And I could move it. I could do this with my face.
You could.
And I could make it go boop, 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 boop. And I really liked it. I liked it a lot.
Did. And it looked good. Anyway, let's crack on with the show.
On with the show. Last night at Unlocking, you were asking us some questions about like boundaries, and it was interesting because I had this little thought going on in my head because you basically, mum would say a question and then you had to say whether you did it often, seldom, or never. And the word seldom, I just really like that word because it's seldom's not very often, isn't it?
I seldom do it. Yeah,
it's like sometimes, but less than sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, I was proper. It was itching my brain every time you said the word seldom. Anyway, that was not the point. The point is that I thought I had pretty good work boundaries. No, that's not the right thing to say. I would have said I had a really good work-life balance. If you'd asked, if someone was like, "Oh, what's your work?" I'd have been like, "Oh yeah, it's really good." And last night I realised I don't actually have any boundaries.
Any
with work.
With work,
very, very, very few. And it was interesting actually because I'd been on with a client the day before, did a step inside session, which was just fucking incredible. Like it was so good. But towards the end, when we were talking about going into the week of like support, and they were like, "What are your boundaries with like when I can contact you?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't have any." And I was like, "That's probably not a good thing, is it?" But I don't. But it's more that the only boundary I have is that at 10 o'clock my phone goes on do not disturb. I'm not going to check it after that. So if you send me, because a lot of the people I work with aren't in this country, it doesn't matter to me when you send it. That's the point. I'll reply as soon as I've got time. That's as far as my boundary goes. But yeah, doing that last night, it was like, the question that I can't get out of my head is, how often do you bring a notebook to dinner? And I was like, do you want to ask a different question? Do you want to stop being so specifically helpful?
As the person facilitating what we were doing last night and also answering my own questions,
a notebook to dinner.
I literally found it so insightful as I would glance up as I was asking the question and watch people's faces and their responses.
Like, honestly, the amount of things. So, what did I write down? I wrote some down. Notebooks at dinner was one. But I don't want to change that. I like having my notebooks at dinner because I do have a system in my head. Like, I think I mentioned this before, where things get filed and then I can't access them. So I need to be able to write things down, otherwise I'll just forget. Working on holiday. And I was like, oh... Interestingly, the thoughts that came up for me when you asked that one, because it was like, oh, do you ever work on holiday? The first thought that came up was, I don't fucking go on holiday. And then my brain went, no, you did. You went to Spain with Jade. And I was like, oh, I took my book. and I worked while I was away. But again, I wanted to, but it's like, am I a workaholic? Like, it's a real thing that's kind of through unlocking. I'm starting to be like, am I using work to avoid living? Like, and I'm like, I'm really interested by that thought for myself.
Exactly that.
Really
Because
interested.
it was interesting because it wasn't actually it wasn't written as a boundaries piece. It was actually a workaholism piece.
Yeah.
Is how Julia Cameron phrased
Was
it.
it?
Yeah, literally. So I didn't. If you think
well.
I asked you some questions because I'd had a real moment when so I think I've mentioned this before. I don't read it before I'm about to do it that evening because I like to see it with new eyes.
Yeah.
You know,
this is the first time fully through for you.
Yeah. So this is I've never got this far before in doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested in what comes up. So I was, and my first thought, bearing in mind, right, what I'd realised was pretty much all of us were self-employed, except for one person who does work full-time and then somebody that works part-time and is self-employed as well. So in the back of my head, I was thinking, I don't know why in my head I thought maybe this wouldn't be a good set of questions to ask. Was I proved wrong?
Yeah, shit.
Because literally as we began it, that was when people, and the fact that people had said about their blocks, you know, because I was asking, you know, what is it that you do? You know, if you are struggling and, you know, you don't want to get on and do something, what do you do instead? And we got such a great example of things that we talked about last time. But actually, that's the bit. Then work kept coming up for people. So yeah, you're right. I was asking the questions.
Yeah, I didn't realise it was a workaholic thing.
That's what it says.
But it is for me. I think I've hit this point where I'm realising that that's where my worth has been tied for such a long time. And I do love what I do. I do love what I do. I do love our business. I don't want office hours.
No.
Because I love what we do and I love being able to sit there and like read something and go, oh, I want to explore that a little bit more and sit on my phone while I'm watching Smallville and do a bit of like I love that. And what am I stopping myself from doing by telling myself I need to work all of the time?
Yeah, because what Julia Cameron talks about, and I found this interesting last night, it really made me think about it, was that, and I'd like to come back to something you talked about on the last podcast, which is where you were talking about being playful and the boss who was playful, you know, and Nalin. Sorry, Nalin. I've got your name right this time. Nalin.
I highly doubt Nalin will be listening to our podcast.
But just in case. But that's the bit about what she's inviting is this creativity to become part of your daily life, because that was another bit, because towards the end that was one of the things that she'd asked was, you know, how often do you put in your diary a creative hour like on a daytime? And I was
how
like,
often do you use it every day? Which annoyed me. It annoyed me, that question. It pissed me off, because if you'd asked me it 2 weeks earlier, I'd been like, every day. And I'd have been all smug about it. But because of this fucking procrastination around this fucking character art, I was like, seldom.
Here's the bit though, because actually though, even that, would you class that as work? Or would you class that as play?
Oh, I don't know. I think at the minute it's possibly still play because I'm like super experimental. Like it took me so long to do those sketches because I like got rid of them and redid them, and I was, you know, finding dresses and all sorts of stuff to look at. But yeah, it is interesting. I made myself play the other day with paint because I was like, I could feel myself getting pulled back into, I need to make something for content. And I was like, no, content comes after. Creating comes first.
And then the content.
Then the content comes if I manage to create. Like, so I've been working on that.
I find it interesting. So I just want to say what a boundary is, and I think this is important. So a boundary is not a wall, a punishment, or an ultimatum. It's information, and it's this is what I need to function, feel safe, or stay in this relationship. So to function, to feel safe, because bear in mind for some of us, you know, how am I trying to phrase this? Right, I know that as a boundary for me, I need to work in shorter bursts. You do. You talk about the Pomodoro.
Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes.
So actually, that's the thing, is that I don't do well if I'm continuously doing something. Like, you know, if I get to the end of the day and I haven't had breaks in the day, it doesn't work for me. And that is actually a boundary. That is me saying, it's not me going, you've made me work. It's going, you know, this is what I'm being asked to do, and this is what I need. So it's how I communicate it that matters. So it's even that with myself. It's like noticing, isn't it? It's like, so you just said there that the notebook thing coming into the dinner table actually is a really great way for you to write it down. Is it having an impact on how you function, how safe you feel, or a relationship with somebody else?
Yeah, it would depend, because interestingly, generally the person I go for dinner with is you. And because this is our business, we talk work. And but it's like we talk about what we're excited about and what we can see growing. And I want to be able to write those things down. And like, I wouldn't necessarily get it out for dinner if I was sat at the table with David and his parents.
So that's different, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think it's because in my head, when it was like, do you take it out for dinner? You're the person I go out for dinner with. Because I don't really do it very often or go anywhere. So that's like, that's where my brain linked it. But I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because I am quite good at setting boundaries, like in order to, because it's interesting that in order to function, if I can feel myself hitting a point where I'm like, I am so tired, I'm not going to be able to do this. It's like, I can't do that today. I'm not going to do that. If you want that done, I'm going to have to look at that tomorrow. Because otherwise, I'm not going to function properly. And the thing you want done won't get. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm getting better at things like that. Yeah. I think those three things have really interested me: the function, safe, and relationship thing.
I think for me, when you were talking, so I'm going to use an example of something that actually I made a decision on earlier, didn't I? In the car. So the one that really struck me was the one about, do you take work on holiday?
Yes.
Now, I've had a real thing about that. I don't think that people should take their work on holiday. I can feel myself. I'm not the woman that has taken my MacBook with me so that I could run a session with a group that I've got while I'm on holiday. I have more than once. And it's not been an issue. And, you know, I'm lucky that your dad's not bothered, but actually it's not about him. Right now it's about me, and I am bothered. And I am not going to run Unlucky next week, you are.
Yeah.
And I know I wasn't asking there or telling there. I was actually, Lauren and I have we've had that conversation.
We have already spoke.
But I knew as soon as I got in the car this morning, and we came in together, that's what I was going to talk to you about. And you straight away knew, because you'd laughed at me and looked at me when I answered that question. Because, you know, I don't want to take my MacBook. I might take a notebook, but I also know that, you know, there'll be times that Dad might be doing something and I quite like to just let my thoughts out. So it'll be a journal more than it'll be anything about anything else. So I do enjoy that, and I am still going to take my morning pages. Is one thing I'm doing.
Good. I did wonder.
Because I wouldn't, you know, as far as I'm aware, we're going to have a view of the Acropolis from the room. So I'm thinking, wow, like if I'm thinking about inspiration.
Yeah, how gorgeous.
Let's see what this is going to be like. I don't know, I've mentioned that that's what I'm doing. We're going to Athens. So
she'll be back by the time this goes out.
Yeah, exactly. So I will have been, and then I'll be able to talk a bit more about it. I'm really excited. So yeah, I think it's that, isn't it? What's the boundary? It's like, you know, I know that if I've gone away before and I know I've got something that I've got to do for work, it does sit in my brain. I'm already starting to think about, and it doesn't go away. I'm starting to think about, you know, how am I going to put that in?
Or something?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that day. Oh, don't forget on that Monday. Oh, let's make sure we know what time zone we're in.
Yeah.
Oh, what do I need to do for that? Oh, is the Wi-Fi going to work?
Yeah.
And so there's all of that comes with it. And I'm like, do you know what? For the sake of 1 week, you know, with a group who all know you very well and, you know that we work together, it won't matter.
Yeah.
It won't matter.
Yeah, and we've specifically spoken about this in the past. It wasn't like we talking about it today was the first time we've talked about it, because the whole point of me learning all of these things is so that if you needed time off or you were sick and you were running anything, I could step in and do that. as long as it was appropriate.
Not the coaching,
Yeah,
not the individual coaching, but if there was a group that you could do that.
Like facilitation, it was just, that just needed somebody to be there to sort of start the questions off and let them run kind of thing.
Yeah,
then we could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it just really kind of, because like I said, I hadn't read the questions before. When I was reading them, I was like, I think what I loved in the book, it was like, tell the truth. And I was like,
it did. Be honest.
I kept saying it. Be honest. Be honest with yourself, and you don't need, and also that you don't need to tell us the answers.
Yeah.
And then what I asked
my face
was,
might have told you the answers.
Yeah, they did. I did yours and everybody else's. But I think the biggest thing for me was kind of just asking people if they were comfortable to share what had they noticed from those kind of questions, and what were they now beginning to realise. And I think that's the part. I do love that function, safety, relationships. What is it that you do? What is it that you need in those situations to be able to do that? I know that often I've spoke to people around work where, I remember in my previous role, the number of distractions, and I don't need help with distractions. Thanks so much.
I can distract myself perfectly well.
I can, and I have things that I do. But if you think about the number of WhatsApp groups or the number of calls that you might get, emails, all of these things, and it's like actually a boundary with myself right now that I've put in place so I can function, is to put my phone on charge first thing in the morning, out of my way. So I don't look at it. So actually I do get my morning pages done because I know that helps me to function. So that I do some movement, because if I get into my phone first, I will be on there and doom scroll. I see it happening, and I can feel myself shouting at myself, get out. Yeah. And it's like there's a part of me goes, no, I'm in.
Ooh. It's like a hot potato now, though.
It is that. Yeah.
Like I pick up my phone from under my pillow to turn my alarm off, and then I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, put it down. Sorry, my
but I'm like hot potato. I'm like, no, stop it. Because I can feel myself wanting to scroll up and look at the notifications. I can feel it. But I'll tell you what's interesting, actually, since we started this, is I'm not getting the dopamine hit from it. So when I start scrolling, I just get pissed off.
Yes, actually, I've noticed in the middle of the day, if I go on, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
And I'm like, I don't want to see that. Because I'm starting to notice where people are questioning me all of the time. And they're not purposefully questioning me, but that's the content, isn't it? Because it's supposed to get me to buy their thing. It's supposed to get me to do. And I've started to be like, I don't want to be told I'm shit anymore. I'm out. So I can feel it. So it's like, no, I'll go onto my art page, and if I purposely want to go on and I want to be on Instagram, but I have to make a choice, because I have to choose to go onto my art page, and I scroll on there, because that I love watching people work and do the art, but that feels different, and it never lasts longer than sort of a few minutes. But that's changed for me since starting this.
And I think that's what's interesting with this week in Unlocking, is that it's been about setting boundaries and like creating them. For example, at 6 o'clock, I stop working. Is an example. It's not that we do that, because actually, I one of the ones that I have that I know sometimes it means we're not kind of seeing each other as much, is where if I know I'm going to work till 9 o'clock, I won't start on the morning.
Which makes complete sense.
I won't start work till midday.
But I work on a morning because my son's in nursery.
Exactly.
So it just, for me at the minute, timing wise, that just makes sense.
Yeah. And I think it's that whole bit for me about being able to look and also keep my weekends for myself as much as I can. And that doesn't mean that I wouldn't work. And I think the beauty of this is knowing that I've got that flexibility.
Yeah.
It's just that as a regular thing, this is, I don't work on a weekend.
Yeah.
I might have to travel every now and again if I'm training, Monday to Wednesday, which is what I've done before. I might need to, maybe do some stuff if it's really important to me. It's just that actually this is a boundary for me. It's like I've muted some groups that I'm in on WhatsApp, because
I mute loads.
Yeah, I will go in when I choose to go in.
Yeah. I've
actually took myself out of a couple because I'm like, what purpose is it giving me? So to help me to function and to be present, and to again to value my relationships. It's that kind of thing. It's about understanding what I need while staying respectful, because I think this is ever so important. When often, and I think this is where people get the selfish thing, we've been taught that to understand what we need and to communicate that feels really selfish. The beauty is you don't lose the respect for the other person. It's about having both. I was talking with somebody, in fact, when I was talking with the team I was working with last week, and we were talking about the OK Corral, which is about being assertive, which is the best place to be, passive, jumping into direct aggression, indirect aggression. And these are all like life positions that we can move into as human beings, and we all go in them. What we want is that we all move out of them and we move back into being assertive. And assertive, I'm okay, you're okay. Do I think that I am capable, worthy and confident? Do I think that of you as well? That's respect. Yeah. Do I have that respect for myself that I think I'm capable of doing this, that actually I'm worthy and that I've got this confidence to do it? And do I think that of you as well? And we can meet each other in the middle. That is the whole purpose of that. And I think often what happens is, and most of the people that I see, is that we end up being quite passive with it. And then we get annoyed.
Yeah, passive aggressiveness is like...
Yeah. Well, passive aggressiveness is actually... Passive aggressiveness is actually one of the saddest places to be, because it's ruled by fear, sadness and hopelessness. Yeah. Sadness is passive, fear is... Fear is passive, and anger is direct aggression. But it's the emotions that are in control. Link back to what we were talking about last week about procrastination. It isn't that somebody that's assertive and respectful of themselves doesn't feel emotion. They do. It's that they manage the emotion rather than the other way around. Because often I think that it's like often we can feel like fear manages us. We can feel like doubt manages us, sadness manages us, all of these. And it's like, that's the whole purpose of, for me, unlocking in the pages is for me to see it. For me to see it so it doesn't manage me. That's emotional agility, actually, is being able to see it and being able to go, no, which is what you did last week when we were talking. So it's this whole thing about understanding what's underneath, what's going on. You just said there, actually, when you come to dinner with me, we're talking about work, we're making a note on it. You're not doing that because there's something else driving it underneath.
Yeah, I think that would be... It's interesting, isn't it? Because the obviously you'd said earlier about us all being self-employed. So was it going to be worth it? Because I think a lot of people are like, they do have bosses who push them too hard, and they do need to exert these boundaries. So like, I'm not working after 6 o'clock. You do not pay me after I leave that place. And that's okay, but it's so different when it's your business.
And this is the challenge, right? Because so much of this stuff that I do and work with individuals, it feels like it's an individual responsibility. And to a point it is. And one of the things we can never escape from at the minute is the fact that actually it's a bigger society thing. I can feel my annoyance coming. Because I think... I remember when social media first came about, right? Because I need a boundary with social media. I think a lot of us need a boundary with social media, and it's bloody hard. Fascinatingly, Meta, and I can't remember who else it is, but it is to do with Instagram. It's Facebook and Instagram. They have just been fined because of the algorithm that they've created. Young Harry shared it. I saw it. And this has happened in Los Angeles because it is addictive, what they have created. They're going to be fined for it. I don't know what will happen from it. I haven't read any more on it just at the moment, but
it's built specifically to keep you on there. Like because they use psychology and all of these tactics to keep you scrolling.
And some of the people that have created it have then gone on, and I'm not going to name names. I find this really annoying. So there's one particular developer that I was aware of, and I listened to podcasts that he was on and different things where he was talking about, about beating this addiction and all of this. But I then find out he's one of the ones that created it in the first place. And I was like, oh, that feels totally wrong. So you've created the algorithm and now you're going to
sell the fix.
Whilst what he was doing was blaming the person. It's about you. This is what you need to do. And I was like, no, that you are doing that and putting that responsibility on me, when actually what you've done is hooked into my brain to understand how it works. And now you've used that You've
a shady
used that.
fellow.
And that just really feels wrong.
Yeah.
Like to be able to do that. And it is a bigger society thing. You talked last time about, the patriarchal society, the way that things have been set up. And I don't think it serves men or women. I really don't. I think it serves a handful of people. Oh, I can feel myself getting annoyed. Because, Lauren, we have not talked about what's going on in the world at the minute, and I know we don't very often, but I do want to just stop and take a moment because I don't talk about this because I'm not on social media very often other than to put some posts on. But I am not okay with what's going on in the world at the minute, and I do need to say that massively for me, and also to the people that do give up their time to listen to us. What is happening in Palestine, what is happening in Iran, what is happening in America, for the people that have no control, it's just wrong. And this is the problem, isn't it? Is that, actually a lot of responsibility gets placed on an individual's shoulders, and it is not. We are part of a collective. We are part of a collective, and there's a bigger picture of what is happening.
A lot of people are talking about coaches and stuff at the minute because I think there's a lot of not us, but there's a lot of people online who are like, oh, this comes back to you can choose to be happy.
Yeah,
it's like that.
Not if you're in a shit situation.
It's like yes, I agree with that to a point. But you can't think your way out of poverty. You can't regulate your way out of racism. You can't regulate your way out of systemic oppression. Like, you can't regulate your way out of a president who... Oh, yeah, you know how we feel about that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like just that appreciation from us that we know that. Like, this is not... It is not an individual human's responsibility to make themselves happy in the current fucking establishment. Like, you can choose to be as happy as you can be.
I think this is where boundaries come, and I think, but this is the thing about functioning, isn't it? It's like it is that part about knowing. What do I need? I need to not be immersed in that all the time. Dad puts the news on because he watches the news. I walk out.
Yeah. I couldn't watch the news like Dad does.
Yeah, and I know that he not only
especially
reads
because
it daily.
I know they purposefully make it negative.
Of course they do.
Because they also make it addictive.
Yeah.
And it's just when you see, do you know what I'm always a little bit aware of? You know the manosphere, this red pill matrix shit. Like do you know what I really pity them, is something that I noticed when I watched the Louis Theroux documentary, was I felt the sadness of these boys, and that's what I saw them as, because they weren't men. They're everything about, I could feel it. It's just desperate sadness to be seen and loved and heard, and it's not women's responsibility to catch that. That isn't what I'm saying. What was my point? But one of the things they kept saying was about how the media brainwashes us and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people are really quick to poo-poo that. But actually, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I just think the media has specifically grown using psychological triggers that get you watching and panicking and all of this desperate stuff, because I think people say at the minute, a lot of things that people say is, we're living in unprecedented times, things like that. I don't think we are. I think the world often looks like this.
Oh, we're repetitive. Of course we are.
I think for the first time, white people are possibly taking a bit of it, and I think we haven't for a long time. But people of colour, black women have carried so much of this for such.
And other countries. I think I agree. And we would love to know the people's thoughts, but I just think it's a conversation that's not it's not that it's not happening. I think it is that bit about our voices and understanding what it is that matters to us. And that, I find I am kind of dumbfounded by, the way that things are happening in the United States and what we're seeing, and that kind of behaviour can be allowed to happen. And I agree that this is it's repeated behaviour. You only have to look back in history. You only have to look back in history. And the sad part is, we do have a way out of it. We've got to remain conscious to it.
But that's
not
it.
at all. We have to remain conscious
when they
and
go,
talk
why
about
do we learn
it.
history? It's so that we don't repeat it.
Yeah, and
That's
it's the
what we're supposed to try
compliancy.
and do.
Exactly, it's the compliancy, and it's the fact that and particularly as a woman at the minute, and there will be other people who feel oppressed, who have not felt able to have a voice, and I think this is why what we do matters.
Like Trans Visibility Awareness Day
all
yesterday,
of that, all of these people that need to have this need to be able to be heard, because we know that from the beginning of time, in terms of when we're born, what matters is that we're seen, we're heard, and that we're valued, and that we seem significant. And that they're doing as us, and what they're doing is going, well, you're not significant, and you're not significant. And actually, that's why it matters that when we know it, that's why coaching matters for me, is that's my responsibility, is to be able to go, you know what? No, I do. Yeah. I do matter, and I do have a voice. And actually, I need to understand how I work and what matters for me, and these boundaries. Because actually, this whole thing about creativity and play, I need that to be able to do the tough stuff. Because you know what? Regulation is not about staying calm all the time, which is what is going on for me right now. Because I can feel myself revving up, so I'm in fight, and I'm in, this whole sympathetic mode. But it matters. And I don't want to stay here. I don't want to stay angry, but I want to use my anger. I want to understand what matters to me, and I want to be able to do something about it. I apologise also if you've had to turn down your whatever listening device you're listening to as I've got louder. But I think this is the understanding of it. Yeah. It's like, let me know when I can use this. And I don't want to stay here. I want to have a bit of playfulness and get out of it. But I need this combination. I'm a human being who is not one thing. I am not static. I am something that moves, and I mean fluidity with my emotions and, my thoughts, and also my body. I need all of that. And if I am stuck feeling like I cannot say what matters to me, and yes, I've got responsibilities, and yes, I've got things that I need to do, and there's a way that I can do it that's different, and have a voice and change things that are happening. And that's for me, that's what's really important about boundaries, and about, knowing this is what keeps me functioning, this is what keeps me safe, this is what keeps me in relationships with people, and to be able to understand, people that, you're right, the sadness in that situation. I've not watched the Louis Theroux Manosphere. I haven't watched it. It's not been a priority. I do know that I want to watch it at some point. What I've heard and I've been really interested by is the opinions, like yourself there, where it's, you said about pity. Some people feel sadness. Some people are feeling really angry about it. I think it's just been given.
I can understand all of the.
Yeah, it's been given a platform.
Yeah,
and I think the thing is, it's not new.
No, but Nicola Coughlan, is that how you say her name? Nicola Coughlan. She's about to do a Channel 4 documentary on it, and I am so excited for that.
What's the difference with that one then?
So, I don't know if this is just me reading into it, but a lot of people talked about the lack of balance in the Louis Theroux documentary, because they just heard from the men, the boys, and that's all. And they didn't hear from the women. But I think that was probably, when they made the agreement, because Louis has been trying to get into the Manosphere for a very long time. They keep saying no. And I think they let him in because he probably signed off to say that he wouldn't do X, Y, or Z. So, when you're watching it and you're like, because normally he's better than that. Normally he does get more viewpoints. And I thought it was quite interesting. I was like, this isn't... But I also didn't agree with people who were like, oh, he was giving them this, because you can see him pulling faces at things. So it was just really interesting to watch.
I think he's a really good interviewer.
He
takes no bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
But then there were things that, and I think, do you know what I find hard is when I watch things with the person I disagree with. I do not agree with these men and the way they are running and what they believe about women and all of this shit. But then one of them said something about Palestine and was like, this is what I think. And I was like, well, I agree with you on that. And I think it was quite an interesting moment for me to remember, I don't have to agree with everything. And someone doesn't have to be a good or bad person. I just find it really tricky.
Can I tell you what the media does? Divide and conquer.
Oh, it does. It's like it sets you up as And I think it's so easy when you're separated by a screen.
Yeah, these people are my enemy.
Because it's not a person. It's the dehumanization of people.
That's
because you forget that actually, the lad that I'm thinking of on the thing, he's a boy who has had a single mum growing up, and he was just.
And where do all of his influence come from?
And this is what he did, and it was interesting watching it and being like, oh yeah, I can see where this has come from. But the easy thing to do would be like, oh, I hate it, blah, 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 he's such a dick, all this kind of stuff. But if I met him in person, would I say that to his face? No. I'd probably listen to him.
Yeah,
but that's it.
But that's... Can I also say...
as me as a person.
The other conversation that I'm not a fan of is the men versus women.
No.
Because I love the fact that actually the matriarchy is not about women being in charge of men. No. It's got nothing to do with that. It's actually got to do with the fact that...
the matriarchy isn't the opposite of the patriarchy.
It isn't. It is literally to do with the world.
And how raising for all the people who aren't men or women.
Exactly.
Like, who don't live in the binary.
It's like...
And we will at one point talk about, I get really angry. When people are like, well, it's men and women and that's all that exists. And I'm like,
no.
Babe, science doesn't agree with you though. Like, and people are like, oh, chromosomes. And I'm like, no, you're not listening to me though. Science doesn't agree with you. Almost everything in this universe exists on a bell curve, which means that we exist at the top. And we're just lucky that we exist in this central bit that's designated normal. Anyway, that got deep.
Did get deep.
Didn't think that was going to get deep.
No, I wasn't sure that's where we were going to go with our boundaries.
But it's good. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important.
I do think for me personally, I do think it is this thing about talking about what matters to us. Yeah. And I keep seeing things, and often it's how to say it and where to say it.
Sorry.
I
saw a clip of Sixth Sense earlier.
I see dead people. Sixth Sense, what a film.
Tony Collette.
But yeah, oh, sorry, don't. See, distracted.
No, don't distracted. I need this finished in a minute.
Tony Collette, if you ever listen to what we're saying, I would love to interview you.
Yeah, we'd love to interview you.
You are...
I'll tag you.
Muriel's wedding.
No, stop. Right. Boundaries. Set them.
Set them. I think...
I'd love to hear about what you think about it.
Do you know what? And we were talking last night about anger. We were talking about like the fact that actually anger is one of the easiest ways to notice where your boundaries are.
They're my favourite ones when people don't know how to set them.
Yeah.
Like, what pisses you off? Yeah. It's my favourite way to start.
Need?
Especially with businesses. Because one of the questions I like to ask business owners is like, what boundaries will you not budge on? And people very rarely know how to answer that straight off the bat. What boundaries as a business owner won't you budge on? So then I go, well, what pisses you off?
Yeah, cause just to say, we're different, you and I. I think sometimes because we could do with coming back and looking at our boundaries together as a business, and the understanding, isn't it, that actually we have slightly different ones.
Yeah.
So you're quite happy to work on a weekend. I'm a bit different.
Yeah, no.
That's what I mean, that kind of thing. So I think it would be really interesting for us to look at our own and to think about.
Whereas I struggle after 7 p.m.
Yeah. Whereas sometimes I'm quite happy to work later.
7 p.m. comes and I'm out.
I tend to work with the flow of your dad's shifts.
Yeah.
Which works better for me.
Thank you for joining us. We'd love to hear from you, as always.
Yeah, fascinated to hear what you think about your own boundaries. What are you working on?
This will be the 46th episode. So
46?
Yeah. Tell us what you think. Invite a friend to listen to us. We'd love that. Follow us wherever you're listening. And have a gorgeous week, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.
Bye.